Maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm not.
All right, very excited to have Rob Littal from Black Sports Online and TMZ Sports on the podcast. We've been friends for a while now, so I'm very excited to have you in. Lots of stuff going on around sports right now, especially which is usually kind of a slow time.
It is, but not anymore.
No.
Not these days.
No, not these days. 24 hours of news, which you know everything about. So before we get into everything that's going on, I've been following your website for a long time now. How did you start it? Like, what made you want to get into? Because you're kind of in a cross section of entertainment and sports with your website. So tell us a little bit about how you got all that started.
Well, when I was a youngster, I wanted to be a rapper.
Okay.
Yeah, went by Michelangelo. So when I was in college at the Ohio State University.
You're
gotta
one of
make sure.
those.
Yeah, I definitely am one of those.
There's only one the, and it's the U, but okay.
Here we go.
Okay.
But when I was in college, I studied journalism. I always wanted to be a reporter like Stuart Scott and Dan Patrick, Keith Olbermann, Craig Kilborn. Those were my guys. So I wanted to be like, the broadcast type of guy. But when I got out of college, things sometimes don't work out the way that that you want them to work out. And, back then, that's when the internet was kind of coming up and everything. And I was like, all of the websites or the blogs that they called them at that time, they had no, for lack of a better term, soul. They really wasn't into the culture.
Right.
Wasn't a lot of people in the space that looked like me. A lot of times bloggers at that time, it was very much secretive, they're in the mom's basement and all of this stuff talking about sports. So I was like, something, I want to start a site, first off, that will give minorities an opportunity to talk about sports, but I wanted to have some flavor. I wanted to have some culture. I want to be front facing. And that's where we came up with the concept of Black Sports Online. It was like, we want to do a site where, I kind of took the inspiration from BET,
right?
Or HBCUs. Like, I wanted to be in the space, but not be ashamed of, who I was and what I was talking about, and giving it that entertainment type of flair. And that's really what the goal was from the beginning, was to give people like myself who really didn't fit into the media world, a place where we could talk about sports, talk about entertainment, talk about music and hip hop and how it all bridged together, but to be cool, not to be seen as people that are like, the reason that you talk about sports because you couldn't play or anything like that. And that's really what my goal was from the beginning, was how do I give other people opportunities that look like me, but also how do I get my voice and opinions out on these topics where the athletes are 70, 80% black,
right,
but the media at that time, or even kind of now, is still majority, white males. So I wanted to give that kind of that cross section of things that we've seen happen later on. I started that years and years ago.
And I mean, you've been to a lot of huge events. I think I remember you being in Miami, right? During the Big Three era, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So I was working in Miami then. So what's been like the coolest experience, like the coolest thing you've gotten to cover or be a part of since you started?
The thing that's always been the most important to me was getting those opportunities. I never wanted to be the guy that was just behind the computer, because I always felt like it's a little soft to do that. You're writing these stories, you're talking about these guys, and you
never have to see them face to face.
You have to see them face to face, and I thought that was kind of fake. I didn't feel like that. So, I would try to get into these events, and it was difficult as independent, media. And I think the big thing for me was getting to the NBA Finals.
Yeah.
As credentialed media. I mean, because the Super Bowl, sometimes they just kind of let everybody in at times. But to get to the NBA Finals and to be able to ask a question to LeBron James and have LeBron say, hey, that's a pretty good question, and actually answer it. Steve Kerr, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, those guys. That's really been the biggest type of thing for me, because then, you're on TV, everybody's seeing you, you get to acknowledge your brand, you get to say it really strong, your voice. This is Robert Littal from Black Sports Online. It's like, that's a big deal.
Yeah, no, it legitimizes you.
Yeah, it's a big deal. So that really was kind of the changing point, where I think people stop looking at us as, hey, just a site that just talks about entertainment or gossip or something like that. It's like, hey, these guys are in the building, talking to these players, getting us information, showing us another side of media. And I think it was kind of an inspiration for people. And so that's always the most proudest things for me.
And now you're also on TMZ Sports.
Right.
How did that come about?
So it's interesting, that came about is a lot of times people would call me the Black TMZ. They're like, oh, you like the Black TMZ. And I'm one of those type of people that takes criticism and says, I flip it on you. You take it as a people may say that's an insult. I would take it as a compliment. I'm like, hey, they're pretty popular. A lot of people know who they are.
Maybe I will go.
They have a
TMZ.
lot of brand, recognition. And so when they were doing their TMZ Sports show, one of the things that when they came to me, I told them, I said, well, if I'm going to do TMZ, I still have to be Rob. I still have to be Robert from BSO. I can't be somebody that I'm not. And their thing to me, and I thought was the main reason that I accepted it, was they're like, we want someone like you. We want someone that's going to challenge us. We want different representation. So when we are talking about these stories, because a lot of their stories now deal with racial issues and things like that, we want someone on the show that, maybe we're not seeing things from a different perspective, because, we're just two white guys that never had to experience this, Evan and Mike Babcock. And that's why I was like, I think that's a good thing, because people watch TMZ and they feel like, hey, maybe it's one-sided or whatever the case may be. But if they watch me on TMZ Sports and say, well, they have Rob in there. So, to tell us a different perspective, and he's being himself and everything, I think it just broadens my audience and also broadens their audience.
Yeah, you got to have diversity.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's get into a little bit of some of the sports controversies that's going on right now. All baseball players are freaking out about the Astros cheating scandal. I have my own opinions about this, but do you think that the commissioner was too light on the punishments for the Astros?
Oh, yeah, he was soft on them. I mean, I'm not exactly sure why, but he was there. I mean, they got caught. They got caught cheating, but I think the commissioner was like, if I suspend them or whatever it may be, then people are going to be like, well, why do they still have the title? It's one of those type of situations. I personally don't think they should apologize, because if you cheat and you win and you still get to keep your title, what are you sorry for?
Well, I mean, I think you can be embarrassed. Like, I think you can have been embarrassed. To me, this is not the NCAA, so, you're not going to vacate titles. Right. And look, like, it's once you set a precedent of that, it's glass house, it's sin measurement. What do you do about the steroid era? What do you do about greenies? What do you do about Pete Rose? Like, it's never ending.
Right.
Because cheating is associated with baseball.
Exactly.
So to me, I would like to have seen him suspend some of the players, but it's probably harder to prove which players were cheating as opposed. Look, we know players were cheating because the front office doesn't play the game.
Right, exactly.
So we know players were cheating. This is not rocket science, but to determine which players were cheating. But don't you think it's a little bit glass house for all these players to be coming out so strong? Like, you ain't never stole a sign before?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, cheating in baseball goes all the way back to the Black Sox, days and everything. It's just...
Which was what? 1917?
Yeah, so we're talking over 100 years. I think what the Astros problem really is that they keep, just like any type of cheater, when you try to explain it and you try to rationalize it.
Say sorry.
Right. So when Altuve's and they said, oh, he had a tattoo, or, his wife said he shouldn't do this, it just makes it, when you lie, it's not the first lie that gets you. It's the second and the third when you're trying to lie on top of it. So they're not helping their cause. And I think if they would just sincerely say, hey, we cheated, we thought everybody else was doing it, so we were doing it, and sincerely, then I think people would move on. But I think the fact that they keep making excuses is what's really pissing everybody else off.
Well, I think it can go either way. I'm with you on that. It's not the first lie. It's when you start adding on the extras. It's like when you kiss a little kid, and he's like, well, then the sky, the sunlight thing, and then the curtains, and then Uncle Johnny, he has, look, there's Mountain Dew. And it's like, what are you talking about? Like, you're holding the cookie in your hand, right? I can see the cookie, and then the crumbs are on your lips. We know you ate the cookie. But to me, I feel like you just do the Patriots way, like, just say we didn't.
Yeah, it's the cover up is always bigger than the crime.
Right.
You got caught.
Say nothing.
Yeah.
Or just say you're sorry. But all this middle stuff, like, I thought the press conference was embarrassing.
Yeah.
You're trying to go soft on yourself. Like, look, we all know you cheated. You got punished. So we know it happens. So just move on. But I just feel like it's a little bit hypocritical from the other players and other teams coming out so strongly about it. It is what it is. So All-Star was this weekend.
Yes. I saw you out there.
I went to Chicago. I went to Chicago only for Saturday. I would work on Friday, and I can't handle that Chicago cold. I'm not built for it. I'm just not. I grew up in Pittsburgh. I was a long time ago. I'm an old person now. I spent the last 10 years in Miami and 4 in LA. I'm not built for Chicago winter. So one day is all I could do. But it was a really fun night. So I personally like Saturday night more than Sunday night, generally, because the All-Star game is usually not competitive. It's kind of a spectacle. It's not really interesting, the actual game. The dunk contest, the skills competition, three-point contests are more fun to me. You really get to see the celebrities that are there. Everyone is kind of having a good time. It's competitive, but not to the point where there's like any kind of animosity. But there was a little controversy in the dunk contest. So did you think that first of all, did you think Aaron Gordon won? And do you think it should change the scoring system? Or what do you think they should do to change it?
I'm in the minority because I actually think that Derrick Jones won the round before.
Right.
I thought the round before is really where they messed up.
Yeah, I agree.
Aaron Gordon did a dunk that I didn't think was a 50, and they gave him a 50 for it. I think they were trying to overcorrect. They knew that they had messed it up, so they're like, okay, we're going to go ahead and make it even. But you can't dunk forever. Like, I mean, I know we want to see it, but you can't have like 150 dunks. So I think the judges were just terrible. Like, the dunk judges have been bad. They're like American Idol judges. Like, they're not really good at what they do. You know, it's like Peter on The Bachelor. Like, they're just not good at picking things and stuff like that. It's just... It's frustrating to me. I think they should have like maybe more a computerized system or something, decimal points.
I think they should have. I think they should have decimal points.
Yeah, something
like
in there.
points to kind of even it out more. And I also think that they should incorporate some sort of fan
voting. Yeah.
I don't know how you could calculate that quickly. Or just have only players. Like, I'm cool. Like, it's fun to see Chadwick Boseman, you know what I'm saying, and Common. Obviously, like, we love those guys.
Can't
but
trust
like,
the Black Panther, can you?
I mean, I just want to see people that have, like, dunked, you know? Or,
I would
like,
have preferred Killmonger, personally. I think he would have judged it better.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm all about Killmonger.
Yeah, I'm for the villains, so I'm a villain. I'm a villain guy. But yeah, I think they should change up the scoring system at least. Now, listen, Heat Nation, gang, Derrick Jones Jr. won, but I did feel like I'm with you. I think he won the round before.
Yeah.
What did you think of the actual game?
I thought it was good. I like, I know a lot of people like, new formats and stuff like that, but the whole thing is to make it more competitive.
Right.
And I think actually having the kids like on the court, like real close, because the kids were like, listen, I'm trying to go to college. You know, I'm trying not to have any student loans. So they were like really into it. And if you're like, you know, Giannis was like, hey, I want my kids to go to college. And LeBron was like, well, I don't want them saying that I didn't, you know. So I think that gave them a little incentive to, except James Harden. He was like, I don't care about anything that's going on right now. He wasn't playing hard at all. But beyond that, I thought it did give them a little more incentive. You know, you're playing for charity. You're playing for the kids. The kids are right there in front of you. And I thought the last, what minutes, but the last, you know, part of that game where they were trying to get to the 24 to get up to it was some of the best competitive all-star that I've seen.
Yeah, I thought it was the best I've ever seen. Like I don't remember an all-star game being that competitive.
The only one that I remember that I would say, and I was a kid, was the Magic Johnson one when he came back after the HIV. Just for a memorable standpoint, but like a competitive, I think I'm right with you. I don't think one was more competitive than this one.
I love the changes. I hope that they keep it. I think they will because everyone's had a really good response to it. So you mentioned Harden. Russ and Harden are on the cover of GQ for fashion, and mysteriously Russ is missing a shirt. But I'm a big Westbrook fan, so he can do whatever he wants. But what did you see the shoe?
I did, looking like Outkast cover. Yeah, right.
It is a little bit of Outkast.
It is an Outkast cover.
That is a good comparison.
Yeah.
Like, there's a little touch of Outkast in there. So in the article, they're talking about how much money they spend on clothes, and we were talking about this on the Herd today. So apparently, allegedly, Harden spends about $500,000 a year in clothing. Now, when you think about it, it sounds like a lot. Like Jeremy's reaction, it sounds like a lot, right? $500,000. Right. But, and listen, I don't know how much you make, but I don't make $500,000 a year to spend on clothes.
You should.
I agree. I should.
Okay, let's talk to some bosses after this.
Actually, double that. But he makes $4 million a month.
Right.
Estimate. Right. Okay. So it's like $40 million a year with his salary and Adidas contract and whatever. So let's say conservatively $4 million a month. Okay. So $500,000 a year is really not that much money when you think about it.
You know something?
Not for somebody who specifically spends money on fashion.
I agree with you, but I'm just surprised that he pays it all. Because I've always known famous people and really like I don't think Beyonce pays for clothes. They want her to wear it because I think it's like, hey, it's Beyonce wearing it. Everybody else is going to. I always thought that rich people get a lot of free stuff.
I mean, I think they do, but not all of it. Like, not like Gucci is going to be Gucci whether Harden wears Gucci or not. All Louboutin, you know, Yves Saint Laurent, like they're going to be those. They're going to be those designers whether Harden wears it or not. Now, I think for like, you know, I don't know how it works for big events and stuff. Maybe they, you know, loan them or gowns or whatever. I'm sure they're not buying $100,000 gowns. Like there's something to that degree. But yeah, I don't think he's like Louboutin's just like sending him.
Man, but $500,000 even though he has it, it's not even so much that. It's like, look, first off, do whatever you want to do with your money, as long as you don't end up like Adrian Peterson.
But I mean, he's not married. He doesn't have any kids that we know of. So it doesn't seem. It seems like very low for somebody who's on the cover of GQ as like a fashion icon. That feels low.
You know what gets me though? Like most of the most expensive stuff is ugly. Like it's. I see.
I guess ugly is relative. Like I couldn't walk in here with a feather vest. Think everyone would be like, oh, well, okay.
Like when we were at Super Bowl, did you see like Floyd Mayweather in the Louis Vuitton? It looked like he had luggage on his yeah, and that's like a $7,000 like thing. Like for him, like you said, it's like $7. Right. It's like. Yeah, it's not even about the price. Like to me, it's always been the brand doesn't matter. Like to me, like if it's how does it actually like look? Yeah. Like you $5, $500, $5,000. It really doesn't matter to me because like I always tell my wife this. Like when she gets outfits and stuff, I'm like, you make the outfit. You got a paper bag on, look good to me. You know, so
but
it's
she's
like
not dressing for you. No offense.
Oh wow, really?
No, we're not really because literally you don't care. Like you don't care what she wears. She's gonna look great in everything, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
so like women, we don't. The common misconception with women is that we dress for men. If we dressed for men and we were single, we would just wear the least amount of clothing possible that was legal, right? Facts. Right. All right. And if we were dressing for men who were in a relationship, we would just wear whatever it is you like. Like, okay, you like this dress? I'll just wear this dress every night. But we're not dressing for you. And we're not dressing for the men when we're single. None of you guys matter.
Oh, we don't matter.
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, like, I'm saying this in the kindest way possible. And I'm not speaking for your wife. I'm speaking for me and T, because T agrees. I don't know your wife, and I would venture that she's probably would agree with me. Women, we do things for us. Like, I don't need to get my nails done. I get my nails done because I want my nails done.
I see, okay.
None of you will notice if I have my nails done in here, except for T. Like, that's it. She's the only one who's going to notice. You guys are not going to notice if I have my nails done. You're never going to look. If I have a different color tomorrow, the only one who's going to notice tomorrow is going to be T. That's it.
Well, I would say this for the fellas out there. If fellas pay attention, though. Trust me, you want to pay attention to these type of things because
may pay attention, but it's not going to change how you feel about a person.
I know, but I'm saying I think that if you are in a relationship or you want to be in a relationship with someone, noticing what the young lady likes or what she does for herself can only be beneficial for you.
No, that's fair.
As opposed
true.
to not. So if you get your nails done, you get your dress and everything, and you may be doing it for you. But as the guy, if you're just like, oh, she's just doing it for her and just don't pay any attention.
Yeah, no, that's not smart.
Yeah,
you
okay,
pay attention.
right.
Yes,
yeah,
like,
you want to
acknowledge the effort.
I'm just trying to get the fellas. I don't want them to go out of here and think, oh, well, nah, I don't have to pay attention.
No,
it's not for me.
No. The goal for a man is not to pretend like you care less. That is not the direction I'm steering you in at all. Definitely not. Okay, so I mean, I'm of the Larry David fashion school, which is wear one expensive thing. Like that's his mentality, and I couldn't agree more. Less is more. One expensive thing, and the rest doesn't really matter.
Well, I got this Versace robe. That's my thing. My thing is the Versace robe.
You wear a Versace robe around the house?
I do wear my wife got it for me for Christmas.
Oh,
right?
That's very nice.
So I wear my Versace robe around, and I feel like the king of the castle.
What is it about robes? If you wear a robe in the house, it's like you're fancy.
Yeah.
I love my robe.
Yeah.
I wear it every day. Hop out the shower, do what I need to do, pop that robe on, and I'm living a life of luxury.
If you have the right robe,
yes,
I think it gives you like a little level up.
It does.
It makes you feel like a little something. Yes. I think for me, it's all like wrestling. Like when Ric Flair, right, would come out in his robe.
Right.
I was like, hey man, this Ric Flair.
Hugh Hefner.
Yeah,
wore
Hugh
a
Hefner.
robe.
It's something
it's
about
like
the
you
robe.
gotta be a little gangster to wear a robe.
You just walk around and
but if you wear it out the house, it's trouble. Then
yeah,
you look like you don't have it together.
Well, I will take the trash out with the robe on just so the neighbors will see.
That's fair. That's smart, actually. I like
yeah.
that move. All right, so we're coming up in the second half of the NBA season. There's been a couple surprises. The Grizzlies, kind of the NBA darlings right now. Thunder have been pretty surprising. Yes. What team to you has been the most surprising, or what team are you most interested in? Not the top level teams that we knew were going to be there, but the ones that are kind of emerging. Like
no, the Heat. I did not think Jimmy Butler was the type of guy that could carry a team or be the face, one man type of thing. I know it's not a one man team, but I think I underestimated the culture of Jimmy Butler. I think a lot with basketball is your leader. how you respect him, how you follow him, how he works, and everybody. And I think when he was talking about the T-Wolves, he's like, I can see it. They don't have it, whatever that is. And he got to Miami. These guys are hungry and young, and they have it. And I think they're a threat. And I think that's the difference between like a Heat and say a Sixers, who have, I would say, more talent, but they're all over the place, with stuff. I think you care more about Kendall Jenner, you care more about, winning the title. So I think that's really the thing. The Heat are really the team that I kind of look out for.
I think it's interesting you say that because I think teams like the Heat, like the Spurs, kind of like the Lakers too now that I feel like they've gotten back on track. Good organizations, even like the Patriots, they don't just go for talent. They go for guys that fit into what they do. And that's why they have sustained culture and sustained success, because they're not just picking talent and this guy's fun or just like shooting well right now. Like, you need a guy that has the same mentality of what you do. And like, that's what Pat Riley is. And that's why I love the Heat. I mean, I love the Heat always, but like, I really like the way that this team is set up and their mentality. So speaking of the Patriots, there's a lot of rumors about Tom Brady. So there's a rumor recently that he bought a house in Las Vegas. Rich people buy properties all over the world all the time. Las Vegas is going to become a place where people need mansions. Like, not that they don't already, but like there's a lot of millionaires moving to Las Vegas very soon. So it's not a bad place to buy up some real estate if you're into that. But it's probably what Tom Brady did if he did buy something there. Do you think he leaves New England?
I don't think he leaves. I want him to, though.
Me too.
Because it's just more interesting. I'm all about chaos. Like, put Tom Brady on.
I root for anarchy.
Yeah. Put him with John Gruden and Tom Brady in Las Vegas. I would love that. I think the NFL would love that. I think, he's been with the Patriots and Belichick for so long. I think both him and Belichick want to feel like, hey, we can show people we could do it without each other. Little Kobe, Shaq type of, situation where I think like they get kind of equal credit. But I think each of them feels like they don't get enough, credit. Even though they both considered like the GOATs in their profession, I think someone like Bill Belichick is like, hey, give me Marcus Mariota, and I'll show you I can still win a championship. Give me Teddy Bridgewater, and I can win a championship. Then I'll really be the GOAT. And Tom Brady's like, hey, I think people think I'm connected to New England. What if I go to San Diego or Tennessee or Las Vegas? And even, it reminds me of Joe Montana when he went to the Chiefs. Like, he didn't have to win a championship. The Chiefs were horrible back then, and he got them to the playoffs. And they're like, hey, Joe Montana is not just a product of Bill Walsh. So I want him to leave, but I don't think he will, though.
I'm kind of with you, though. That's why I think he will leave, because there's the egos to deal with, and I do think there's a lot of who gets credit for the Patriots dynasty. Is it Brady or is it Belichick? And I think depending on who you're a bigger fan of, I think people who are not necessarily Patriots fans think it's Belichick, and people who are Patriots fans think it's more Brady. But I do think that there is something to they both want to prove they can be successful without each other. Obviously, Belichick has a little bit longer to do that, we're assuming, than Brady, because Brady's career is going to be over within the next 2 years. For sure. I'm with you on the anarchy. I do think it would be great for the NFL. It's a complete heel turn.
Absolutely.
From Brady,
absolutely,
which makes it so interesting. I don't know if it will be successful, but because you're going to a division that is not an easy division. So that's the one thing that gives me pause. Like, do you really want to go up against Mahomes?
And you got to change everything
Twice a year, like start over. It's kind of a strange situation. That I see him more with the Chargers. Obviously same division, but like more. I think there's more talent, and more stable situation, but a little bit less interesting. Okay, so finally, before we let you go, I don't generally get into too much Antonio Brown talk on the podcast.
A whole lot of money. I got a whole lot of money.
I used to, but then it gets kind of spiraled to the point where it's like, I can't keep track of this anymore. Do you think that, so I guess the latest is, I mean, I literally have removed myself from following the story. The latest is he's rapping now, or someone, yeah, okay, he's rapping. He's rapping now?
Yes, he's
okay,
rapping. There he is, rapping.
Okay.
The no more white women 2020 that didn't last.
So it's not a white free 2020.
No, he's back with the baby mama. The one that they were all the drama was. They're back together. They were at the Super Bowl at Live on Sunday and everything.
I was not at Live on Sunday.
Yeah, so he that lasted to Black History Month. So I guess
so it lasted a month.
Yeah, it lasted a month and
31 days.
Yes.
Okay, so Do you think that he ever plays in the NFL again?
Yes, I do.
You do? I don't think he does.
I think talent overrides everything, and there was nothing to show that he was like, talent-wise, that anything has changed. And he's on the redemption tour. And if you got talent and you say, I'm sorry enough times, they'll take you back.
But didn't he do the sorry tour already?
He did like 4 or 5 times,
right.
And he changed his mind every time. But this time, to be fair, it's lasted 2 weeks. So if he can maintain it, I honestly think that the getting arrested was kind of a scared straight moment, because I think sometimes you think you're untouchable.
Right.
You think you're the Teflon Don, and then you go to jail for just a day. And I think all of a sudden, his mentality was like, hey, all of this could be taken away from you very quickly. But
he doesn't feel that way based off of the fact that Roger Goodell is the one who has to decide if he's going to play again yet.
Yeah, I think he's just so talented. Like, I know I go back to that, and that shouldn't be the way that it is.
No. I mean, we know that. We know that's what it is.
Right. But
I just feel like even though he is as talented as he is, I just think that it's so like this. Like it's been like this for so long that I don't know how a team could trust that he's going to maintain that.
The real question is, would he be willing to go to a team that's not good? Because I think the teams that are good are like, we don't have to take that type of risk.
Right.
But if, let's say you talk about Joe Burrow. Let's say Joe Burrow goes to the Bengals or whatever. They're like, hey, we need somebody. We're bringing Antonio Brown for a year. Is he willing to, it's something like that. Is he willing to really sacrifice to get back in the league? Now, that I don't know.
I think he would be willing to play with a good quarterback. So I think if it was a Joe Burrow situation, man, oh my God, what an insane situation that would be.
Pretty interesting. Derek Carr may make me go crazy too if I was a wide receiver.
Derek Carr. I like Derek Carr.
You like Derek Carr?
Yeah, I think he's good enough. I think what happened, his injury was really unfortunate. I think if he hadn't gotten injured in the playoffs the way that he did, I think we would think about his career a little differently. But okay, well, I'll keep that in mind. That's some interesting stuff on Antonio Brown, because I don't know if I see it. But you're right. He is super talented, so you never know.
Chaos. That's what we want.
We root for chaos. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Rob. We really appreciate it. Make sure you check out Black Sports Online. Check out Rob on TMZ Sports. And you can follow you on Twitter.
At BSO.
At BSO. Okay.
Real easy.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.